Hi everyone, it's Alina from XM8 Mastery here. And normally I don't make these videos topical, meaning I don't usually tell you like what time of year it is or have it coincide with an event. But since we've got Hurricane Harvey that just happened this past week, I feel like there's some definite issues that are related to a cat situation, especially a hurricane, that you guys can benefit from. So I did want to talk about that today. And we've got Irma that's heading towards Florida. So we'll see what happens with that storm as well going forward through this next week. So what we're going to talk about today is some temporary tarping issues and also what happens when labor and material rises much faster than Xactimate can keep up with their price list and what we're going to do to address that. So stay tuned and stay safe out there, guys. So let's start off by talking about the temporary tarp issue. So you can include that in your regular estimate, but I recommend putting it in its own folder called the temporary tarp or temporary folder. So we're just going to add a new folder. I'm going to call it temporary repairs. That's great. Xactimate's already one step ahead of me. And then I can just click attach here. Now inside this temporary repairs folder, you're used to using the temporary tarp or the tarp line item that Xactimate usually defaults to. So you've got your labor and material and it's per square foot. You've also got this after hours charge. Now most likely, one, you guys don't have the time or shouldn't have to take the time to measure how many square foot of tarp that you're going to use. I guess if it's the whole roof, it might be easy to figure out if you're using roof measurements or something like that. But a lot of times it's partial roof tarps that you're doing there. It's going up and over a ridge. Sometimes different things happen and you're blowing and going trying to help out all of your customers getting these tarps completed, and it's not as easy to keep track of square footage in the cat situation. So that's why it's different than just a normal hailstorm that may have hit, you know, here and there, and you're going to go out there and tarp quickly, but the demand may not be as high. When you're in a cat situation, man, so many roofs are torn apart and things like that that you're going to have a lot of work on your hands very quickly, and it needs to be happening quite quickly as well. So to avoid the square footage line item, which number two also is probably really seriously underpriced with labor and material, you can use what's called a bid item. So we're going to go to the category here. I'm just going to enter TMP, that's for temporary repairs, and I'm going to use the selector code bid item. So BIDITM, there's no E in there. And this bid item is available for every category or every trade in Xactimate. And what I'm going to put here is I'm going to put emergency tarp, and I'm going to come up with a line item price just for the whole roof, right? So we're not going to go tarp 1, tarp 2, tarp 3. We're going to say, you know what, it cost me $400 to tarp that roof, and we're going to call it a day. So in these cat situations, the insurance adjusters are a lot more amicable to these types of repair tarping line items because they know that you need to protect that home from further damage. And usually they're independent adjusters instead of staff adjusters, and there's a big difference there as well. So coming up with a price, as long as you believe it's legitimate and reasonable, now $4,000 here might be a little excessive, but coming up with that bid item price, just figure, you know, the time it takes you to get the material, show up with it, and to install it, and you're in an emergency situation, so there's a little bit more charge for longer hours. Maybe you're doing some of this, you know, after hours, those types of things. So I can't tell you what to charge. That's something that, you know, you're going to have to figure on your own. It differs per company, but definitely a lot easier than trying to keep track of the square footage of the tarps, and is also going to be a lot more legitimate and reasonable to the actual price that it costs to do this work. Now, they may not let you add O&P to this. It's up to the carrier. So you may have to non-O&P in order to get this line item paid. So there is an option here. If you click on the line item and then in your unit pricing, you should see non-O&P here. By the way, if you've never changed a unit price, all I did was click on this price button right here, and that allowed me to put in the replacement price that I see fit. Okay, so price button, change the price. You may have to non-O&P it, just depends on the carrier, and go from there. And they may just have you non-O&P just this one line item and then pay for O&P on the rest of the estimate. Just depends. It's carrier to carrier based. The next thing I want to talk about, and we're going to go ahead and add a roof folder here. Let's add some roofing line items, and let's say that the labor and material, both of those items have skyrocketed because of this cat situation, and plywood's going to be in short supply. The shingle suppliers may be totally, sold out, and you may have to go to another area or do a special something. That's where these kinds of things come to play in these situations. So what you're going to see here, and I'm going to go ahead and just add 15% waste to this real quick, make it real world. Here on the replacement shingles, and let's say that our replacement material went up by $30 a square. What I can do is go back to that price button, so I can click on the price, and go to the little I to the side here, and then you'll see the breakdown of material, equipment, retail labor, all of that. This market conditions section is where you could add that extra $30. So the market conditions can be changed. You'll notice the material and the retail labor. I don't really mess with trying to get those ungrayed out and all of that stuff. You just add $30 more to your market conditions. And if there's some extra equipment charges, you could add those there. Left click OK, that raised my amount per square by $30. And then I'd go into the attachments here, and I'd make a note that the supplier was very low on these shingles, and they're charging $30 extra per square. You can also do the same thing for labor. So let's say that the labor for replacement, because there's so much work to be done and there's scarcity, that you can put in here, the labor to replace shingles increased $30 due to the storm. So we're going to make a note so the adjuster knows what we're doing, but it's definitely something that can be warranted because Exactware usually releases a price list once a month. In CAT situations, they may not keep up with the pricing as quickly as it's going to rise. So just watch out for that, but be fluid and know how to change these things when needed. And that way you can keep on rolling with your estimates and keep on getting your estimates submitted to the insurance company, and don't let it throw a stick in your bicycle wheel there. So those are my 2 tips this week for CAT situations and how they change things and what we can do to combat them. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this topic, please be sure to press like below and subscribe for our weekly tips that will go straight into your newsfeed. Also, if you'd like to check out our website, it's XM8mastery.com. Hope you guys have a really great week. Again, stay safe out there, and we're hoping for Irma that she doesn't do too much damage, and we'll check on that next week. Next Tuesday, I'll be seeing you, and have a great week.